Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. As I said in my last video, today is going to be a repot of a bit of a monster really. It won't be just a repot. The way the plant has grown means it needs dividing, and it's like a must, and I'll go over why I think it needs doing as we go along. But it is a bit of a monster, and I'm hoping to get at least 2 and probably 3 good plants out of it. And because I like the blooms so much, I will probably keep all 3 of them. Although we do have our next Orchid Society meeting is in fact our AGM, after which we have a plant auction. So if I wanted to get rid of one, I could stick it in the auction. You never get much for them, you never get what they're worth. I mean, I've seen really mature Cattleyas, sort of 7-8-year-old plants going for less than 10 quid. If you had to buy that in a nursery, it would cost you 40 or 50. And people at the Orchid Society just won't pay money. And it annoys me because they will actually then go online and order a plant and pay full price and add postage to it. And yet the plant's there, they can pick it up, they can see it, and yet they still won't pay the money. It's sad because obviously people have worked hard and grown a plant well and everything, and just don't get anything for it. Still, it's their choice to put it in or not. Anyway, I'll swing the camera around and we'll get going with this. I'll do the video in 2 parts like I normally do. We'll get the thing out of the pot. I don't need to worry about the roots, I can see them through the pot, there's plenty of roots. The problem is that a lot of the roots are now up out of the pot in the plant, in the bulbs. They're not getting down because the plant sort of lifted itself up and grown, you know, a bit of climbing going on and all that sort of stuff. But we'll analyse it and give it a good look over, and then I'll break off, have a clear up and get what pots I need and my media and everything, and that will go into the second part, the actual potting bit. So I'll swing the camera around and we'll make a start. Somewhere like that. Yeah, that'll do. Let's have a look. Yep, that's okay. So it's quite a large plant. Obviously I need to, if I pick it up, it still needs to be in shot. Getting it out of the pot might be a bit of a problem because it's an absolute solid mass. And I've got a feeling it's going to be incredibly difficult to get out of the pot, because it's been in here a long time, and some of that time was before I got it. I don't think this is going to come out very easily at all, and I think I may have to sacrifice this pot, which is a shame because it, you know, would be very usable again, but then it's not my pot, it's what it came in. I think the easiest way to get this out without doing damage will be to get it out of the pot. For that I need another tool. I need something a bit stronger than my, you know, my normal things. Now these are bonsai root pruners, very heavy duty scissors. They should do the job. I'm not worried about roots, as I said, I've got an absolute pot full, but this seems rather brittle actually, this pot. I was expecting this to be more difficult to cut. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but all I'm doing really is going down the side of the pot, and then I'll get to a point. It's incredibly brittle, quite an old pot obviously, and we should get to a point where the orchid will lift out. I think we might have to go down again with the scissors. I was hoping it was going to snap, but it seems to be snapping everywhere except where I want it to. Gotcha. Get all those bits out of the way. Quite jagged edges there. Right. I didn't know whether those pruning shears would be strong enough, but they are. I mean, they cut tree roots quite adequately, and massive amounts of tree roots in one go. Right, so what we've got now is moss in the pot, a mass of roots, a rotten pseudo bulb, which I think I will get that off first. No, I didn't. I'll just pull it off in a minute. Now what I bought out this is a bonsai root hook. It's quite brutal, normally used for tree roots, but it's good at just teasing as well as being brutal. I don't know how much of this old media I'm going to be able to get out. All I know is that I do have a mass of roots at the top of the plant. So once I've divided this plant, I think I will have more than enough roots on the pieces as we get to that stage. Getting these roots into some new media will be good. This media, it's not smelly or anything like that. And this is Burnham's bark, I can tell straight away. So I think this plant originated from Burnham's, from the nursery, not in the plant sales area, showing off area, as I like to call it, where all their bought in plants are, their stuff in flower, the sales area that you walk into as you enter the nursery. But into the nursery proper, the growing areas, that's where this one was. So I think it was probably bought in, because it's not something Burnham's would grow normally, and the flowers went over, and it seemed quite a good plant, so somebody probably repotted it and put it out in the nursery to see if it would grow okay, and forgot all about it probably. But yeah, the roots are in a very good state. These roots are old and tired, but they're not exactly dead. So now what we've got to do is decide where to divide the plant. Now normally a plant will tell you. Now here is a plant. New growth. This is a reasonably new growth, came off the side of here. There's another new growth there. So this area here has got two new growths, and there's another new growth there. Just looking at where would be the best place to divide this. And there might be some bulbs that get sacrificed. So I think I'm going to come in there. That'll give me 3 new growths, and we'll see what's left. So this will be the best part of the plant, effectively. I'm going to go in there. Keep my hands well out of the way of this knife. Japanese blade, this. Made from folded steel. Pays to keep your fingers well out of the way. Right, how are we doing? Not easy. back to one side. This is a plant in its own right. Now you can see what I'm getting at. If you look at the height of the media there and then look at the height of that bulb, and most of the roots there are aerial, but there are loads of new root stumps which will grow if they can come in contact with some media. So, oh, there's an old flower spike, so it obviously has flowered at some point. Now we've got a new growth here, another one here, and another one here. So that one needs the root area exposed so they can get into media. And can I keep these old bulbs? They'd have to be buried if I keep them. Now I think with 3 new growths coming, I can sacrifice that one. And if I take that one off, am I going to mess that new growth up? No. In fact, that just creates some more space within the plant. Right. So, a little bit more teasing. So I've got a new root area here with lots of new roots. I don't want to disturb that too much. Just want to make sure we've got the old media has not gone off. It's not like I need to worry about the old media. I think that's quite a nice plant now. So that's one. As I said, this is a relatively new growth that's matured but hasn't bloomed. This may trigger this one into bloom, although I think it would probably have done it by now if it was going to do it. This is also a relatively new growth which has now put out another one. This is a matured growth that's put out a new one. And then in fact it's pushed out 2 because the one in the middle of the plant's coming off this bulb as well. So I think that will be okay as is. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that as it is. And we'll put that in like that, so that the roots that were effectively aerial here will be sat in some media and they'll get going quickly. So that's one. I'm just going to chuck that over there for now. Then we'll have a look and see what's left and see what we can make of what's left. You know, things like this, when you've got a bulb buried down there, that's got to go. So you can take that off straight away. Now, because we've separated the plant, I can get down where that rotten bulb is and cut it without cutting into the bulb itself. So that's that gone. Right, we've got another buried pseudo bulb here. That needs to go. So what have we got then? We've got a new growth here. Take the sheath off. Get the roots down into the media. There's another tiny new growth down in there. I doubt if you can see that. It's just oh, and there's another one here. So again, we've got new growths on this piece. But does it warrant being split again into 2 more plants? A nice strong new growth coming here. Got another sunken pseudo bulb here that I need to be able to get rid of. So I think we are going to have to split it again. So we'd have, what would we have? We'd have strong new bulb, strong new bulb, strong new bulb, new growth, new growth, new growth, 3 new growths. I think that will make a nice plant. So where's the split then? The split is there. Might even be able to do this by hand this time. You've got to go careful when you're doing this that you don't leave a bulb hanging where it, you know, it just ends up as a single bulb on its own. So take care. Now we can get at that little bulb that's been buried down there. I mean, out of all these bulbs that were buried, see that one's not far off going. It's got rot in it, but wouldn't have been much longer before it actually rotted. Now this is actually quite a nice piece. That old part of the rhizome needs to come off. It's going to take quite a few of the roots, but it's separated anyway. There's no point in leaving it there. So we'll pull that off. So that's a smaller root system this time round, but there are plenty of new roots to plant. Plenty. Not short of roots. There's a little new growth there. Yeah, got a growth here, so that's 2. And then there was another one round the back here. So 3 new growths. Happy with that. And enough backup bulbs to support the plant while those new growths are growing. 3 nice big fat bulbs for support. So that's number 2. That's a smaller plant. The other one had a lot more backup bulbs, and then we're left with this piece. And I was just going to say, let's hope we've got new growths. Well, we've definitely got one here. Unfortunately, if you look, that's what I was getting at. That is 2 separate pieces now. There's nothing I can do about that. They're already separate, which is a shame because they're going to be quite small plants. That's not, see, that bulb has got 2 new growths on it, but this bulb here, is it connected? No, I think we'll just grow that on as an individual. Just put it in a small plot with a stake and grow it on. It's got 2 new growths on it and 1 support bulb. That's it. That's a nice big plump bulb. So that's a young plant to grow on. We'll see if that works. And then what's left is a single plant. What have we got here? Well, we've got a nice new growth there, so there's at least 1 new growth so far. Be surprised if there isn't a new growth on there. Not yet. There, perhaps. No. So that bulb hasn't got a new growth, but this was its new growth. So that's 3 bulbs, and at this point only a single new growth. And unfortunately, if you look, this bulb here has climbed. Let's bring it round this way, then you can see it better. Yeah. So this bulb here, the new growth climbed up, and it's left this one behind. Yeah, so to get the roots on this bulb in the media, this one would have to be buried. So that one comes off. Now we've got a mass of new roots ready to go. And a new growth. It might end up doing a second new growth. So that gives us 4 plants. The chances are the 2 small pieces are going to go in the same pot, and the other 2 larger pieces will go in individual pots. The old Burnham's label must have been buried in there somewhere. What does this say? Branching orangey brown, full stop. That means the blooms, not the plant. Cool minimum 10 degrees, moist at all times. Yeah, moist maybe, but certainly not wet when it's not growing. Right, so that's all my stuff. There's no root trimming to do apart from what's already naturally come off. So I'll clear this lot up, sort out some pots. We're going to need 3 different sizes, and sort out some media, and I'll be back. Okay, I've got my 3 pots. I've got a large deep pot for the largest of the plants. I've got a large width-wise to allow for the plant to expand, but not quite so deep for the second one. And then for the two smaller pieces, they should fit in there okay. Now as far as mixing up is concerned for my potting media, the first thing is I will put some crocking in that big pot. I would think it's probably not necessary. This is obviously a vigorous rooter, but this is also a big pot. So again, we'll put some in there, and we'll put some in there so that we don't clog up the air cone as we've got one. Right, so that's that out the way. We don't need that again. Now we can move the pots and we can get mixing. Now I'm going to mix small bark and medium bark together for this. The roots are not fine, but they're not big and chunky. They are, well, they're typical Oncidium type roots. But they're mature plants, so they're quite extensive, and it's quite an extensive root system. So that's the medium. And then I'm getting quite low on the small bark actually. And I mean, this was given to me, Lynn gave me this. It was, she said it was spare. Don't forget, I've got 3 potfuls here. Let's see what that looks like when it's stirred up. I don't measure, I just look and just sort of think. Predominantly this needs to look more like medium-sized bark with some small bark mixed in, rather than looking like small bark with some medium bark mixed in. And I think that's probably about right. And then I'm going to add some perlite in. This type of intergeneric does actually like to stay moist, but it certainly doesn't want to be wet when it's not growing. When it's in active growth, yes, you have a job to give it too much water. As I always say, if you're messing with perlite, keep away from the dust. What I do is I literally lean back so that the dust shouldn't get near me. If in doubt, wear a mask. Right, what does that look like? A bit more. That should do. There we go. Notice my mix is dry. You'll see why in a minute if you haven't seen me do this before. I like dry pots, dry roots and a dry mix. And now I'll show you why. We'll start with the biggest one. We'll get some mix in the bottom, cover up the crocking, and then we'll see where the plant sits naturally. We can have a bit more. I want the plant base to be below the rim of the pot, and then we look at where the new growths are. So we've got a big one here. Another one there and another one here. So they are effectively across the middle of the plant. So I think that can actually stay where it is there. So we've got some, what I always do is put some down one side and then push the plant back against it and then come opposite. So 180 degrees round, put some more in. That effectively holds it in place. And then do the other. The other 4. So what you've done is you've effectively got media into all 4 parts of the pot, and then give it a good whack. What I'm doing now is tapping the media into the gaps between the roots without having to push it and force it. If it was wet, that wouldn't happen. It would stick and you'd end up with quite a few gaps, which is not what I want. There's an area in the middle of the plant that I want to get some media in, because that's where there are some roots. And then I'm just going to push down the sides to make sure everything's nice and firm. And then we check round and see where we are. That hasn't got new growth, so actually it has, there is one there. Is there one there, or is that just roots? I think it's just roots. So where there are new roots, there is now media. And those roots will get down in the pot quite quickly. And as you're the biggest, I'll call that the mother plant, you can have the tag. The other two I'll have to do new tags for. So that's one done. Stick that over there for now. I've got space over here. Now we're going to run out of media. Actually, I've got an idea. There's some bits of media that were mixed up for other things. Now, this will have some moss in it, but once it's mixed in with this bulk, the proportion of moss will be quite small, but it'll get it used up. And hopefully there will then be enough. So it's not a lot of moss, it's a very small amount. Right, check where the new growths are. One here, so that's two on that bulb. And then another one here, so they're on opposite sides of the plant. So the plant needs to go right in the middle. So somewhere about there. Not such a good root system on this piece as the last piece, but nonetheless there's more than enough roots. Some of the roots sticking upwards. I'll put them down in the media. They might stay there, but they'll probably just go boing and spring up again. Worth a try. Yeah, it looks like they might stay there. Very good. And again, before we get everything down in there, but there's not many roots to get down in between this time. You might even have to stake this one. Pretty wobbly, isn't it? That won't be very easy to stake, that's for sure. I'll just go and get some things and then we will stake it. Now what's going on, I hear you say? Well, what's going on is some idiot, some clown, some half-wit didn't press the record button. Well, actually I double bounced it, so I switched it to record and my finger twitched and turned it straight off again. So I ended up with a clip about 3/4 of a second long and unfortunately the tail end of the video was therefore missing. So up to the point we got to, you know, we'd at least done a repot. So what actually happened was the large plant got put in here. That's settled in, that's now been watered in and everything, so that's okay. The next size down got put in the flat pot, and that one got staked. Now unfortunately this bit would have been better on video than talking about it, but the method for the stake was to actually duct tape the stake onto the outside of the pot and then clip a bulb. And the fact that the plants all joined together, that makes the whole thing quite secure. It wasn't quite as secure as I liked, so I did actually manage to get one in this side of the pot as well. And the clips have gone round the very top of the bulb at the base of the leaves, and they're not pinching, they're just holding it against the stake. So that was the next size down, that went in the wide flat pot. So the top of this pot and the top of that pot are exactly the same across the top, but you can see the difference in the depth. That means that this smaller plant has got a lot less media. If it went in a pot that size, it would stay wet too long, down in the bottom where there wouldn't be any roots. And then the two little pieces, they managed to be self-supporting, and they went in a smaller pot. So that's basically what we ended up with. They've now had a good watering, and they may well need another one in a few days' time rather than going in the normal rotor. So I'll have to keep my eye on the media. The problem is new bark can dry quite quickly. The fact that there's perlite in there should help hold some moisture. But as I say, two plants in here, reasonable sized plant there with new growths, reasonable roots. Larger plant here, we'll call it the mother plant, plenty of new growths and a good root system. So that's where we've ended up, and as I said, sorry about losing the tail end of the video, at least it makes it a lot shorter, I suppose. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by.